Hey there, I'm the MadCatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, OMFG, stop the presses. You are not going to believe it. Well, yes, you are going to believe it. The Ace family has another lawsuit, and this is not the same lawsuit I reported to you on back at Thanksgiving. So don't click away. This is brand new, filed on December 7th, and you are not going to believe the allegations and the absolute trashing this lawsuit gives to Allen McBroom, Austin McBroom, and the Ace family, and all of the boxing nonsense. So come along with me and Sybil, buckle up, and let's go. So I'm here with Sybil the Enforcer, who's purring away, and I sent a note off to Santa because I told him how she had saved us from that flood last week, and Santa said, because Sybil's been so good, I'm going to give her an extra present this Christmas, and we're going to have another Ace family lawsuit. So this is a twofer for the holidays with the Ace family. And this one is about fraud, and they don't mince any words in the stuff that they say about Austin McBroom, Allen McBroom, and the Ace family. So Sybil says, please like and subscribe, and we would really appreciate that. And look at her, she's so good. So now let's talk about what is going on with the Ace family now. So guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. And I thought I was going to have a nice, quiet holiday season with no more drama. And what do you know? The Ace family has picked up yet another new lawsuit that was just filed 2 days ago. And this one trashes the Ace family and Austin and his father. In no uncertain terms, it spells out exactly what kind of creeps this plaintiff thinks they are. And this one is filed by Jarvis Khattri, otherwise known as FaZe Jarvis, or formerly known as FaZe Jarvis. And his lawsuit is based back on Social Gloves 1 from last year. And what do you know? It's because he didn't get paid. I don't know why he wasn't part of the settlement and the resolution of all of the lawsuits, but apparently he didn't participate in that settlement. So, as is his right, he's filed a civil suit in Los Angeles, and this is what the complaint is for, and I'll put it up. Breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, fraud, negligent misrepresentation, intentional interference with contractual relations, and civil conspiracy. That's a new one for the Ace family. Obviously, it's because he didn't get paid, but wait till you hear what he alleges Austin and his father pulled when they were putting this event together, and it sheds more light on the nonsense and the smoke and mirrors that was Social Gloves 1. So I'm going to read a few of the paragraphs because they're really juicy. Normally, these things are pretty dry, and I would skip over and just sort of paraphrase for you, but I'm going to read you some of this because it's something that you've got to hear. It says, Austin McBroom and his family gained notoriety in 2017 on YouTube, vlogging their day-to-day lives on their Ace family channel. As scandals involving McBroom surfaced, and there were many, allegations of cheating and the R word, and assist and arist tweets, a staged burglary. Boy, this lawsuit doesn't even camouflage it. This is so juicy. And said, a staged burglary, fraudulent charity events, a sham fan club with false promises of merchandise. The McBroom's number of followers grew. As the number of followers grew, the McBroom financial fortune swelled, sustaining for now, well, I don't know about now, their insatiable appetite for extravagance, a $10 million house, an orange Lamborghini, and a Rolls Royce. Capitalizing on the introduction of boxing exhibitions involving social media celebrities first introduced 3 years ago, McBroom conceived of Social Gloves, Battle of the Platforms. Like previous exhibitions, the event would feature amateur boxing matches. However, Social Gloves event was designed to drive more followers to the nascent Social Gloves empire. And Social Gloves, as you guys know, is Austin's company. This event would pit YouTubers against TikTokers, and the key for McBroom was to entice event participants with large numbers of online followers. In turn, these followers would be attracted to an event which gave top billing to Austin McBroom. Of course, it gave top billing to Austin McBroom. In other words, Austin McBroom sought to grow his empire on the shoulders of other internet social media personalities. First, to accomplish his scheme, McBroom needed credibility. McBroom engaged Paul Kazers as the executive producer, a veteran in the entertainment world specializing in new media, digital/social platform. McBroom supplemented his team with 2 entertainment law firms to assist with organizing the event and negotiating deals with the talent. Okay, and we'll skip a little bit of this. As the social media world can be very competitive, McBroom's ability to attract other social media stars would be contingent on his hiding his ownership of this event from the other social media influencers whose involvement McBroom pursued. The ruse began with McBroom's incorporating a single-purpose, limited liability company, Simply Greatness Productions. McBroom and Zivin chose Delaware as the state of incorporation, where McBroom could take advantage of the state's anonymity protocols. And just so you know, there are lots of corporations that incorporate in Delaware for various legal reasons, even though they're not based in Delaware. So that's not uncommon. Just to have full disclosure here. And they go on, they said, when the other social media stars began to ask questions of SGP, which is Social Gloves, Austin McBroom and the SGP attorneys had a secondary scheme which they employed. Allen McBroom, dun, 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 and Zivin suggested that ownership of the LLC be transferred to Kazers on the day of a significant contract signing. Well, that's a red flag right there. Allen McBroom further suggested that following the execution of the agreement, ownership would then be returned to Austin McBroom. Well, this is really bizarre. Kazers was stunned by Allen McBroom and Zivin's devious plotting. In other instances, McBroom and the SGP attorneys would simply forego SGP's executing the talent agreements. Next, it was important to entice an investor to underwrite the cost of producing the event. This McBroom would accomplish with promises of a large-scale event. Sounding familiar, people? And a large payday. To do this, Austin McBroom packaged his own marketing deck entitled The Largest PPV Event in History. Okay, right. Well, we all know that's not true. In another version of his marketing deck, McBroom, and the deck, I think they mean like a slide presentation of his marketing deck, McBroom showed Kevin Hart as the host for Social Gloves. Despite McBroom's never approaching Hart directly for the project, McBroom knew that Kevin Hart would be out of the country during the event. So he's saying Austin lied to him. Well, oh my God, Austin lied? He's saying that Austin told him that this particular personality would be hosting the event, and even though he knew this guy was not going to be in the country and would not be hosting the event, just to make it more attractive. And then I love this. They say, McBroom developed a dazzling mathematical formula based upon social media followers. The equation yielded promises of a combined reach of 393 million followers and projected gross revenue of, get this, $500 million. And it says, McBroom shopped the event to potential investors to try to attract investment, and he got James Harden and Lil Baby to be co-investors. They advanced $2 million. Oh my God. Oh God. I feel bad for them. They advanced $2 million with the promise of being in a first priority position. We've heard this before, meaning they would get paid before anybody else. Well, it's hard to get paid when there's no money to pay you, but to recoup their hard money, and an additional 10% of the adjusted gross revenue. Well, it looks good on paper, doesn't it? McBroom would use the same deck to entice prominent YouTubers and TikTokers. Okay, so basically they're saying Austin lied. He pumped this event up. He sold it under false pretenses, basically. He certainly had to know that what he was promising was never going to be accomplished. Otherwise, why would he make up all of these things to try to entice people in? If he thought it was going to be such a successful event, he wouldn't need to fluff it up and lie about it. So here you go. Now, this is where we get to what we talked about in the past about this whole event and the lawsuits that came out of it. The majority of contingent compensation would be paid after the event. For the talent who were concerned about getting paid, McBroom had to secretly field requests for first priority and first position. So what they're saying is, on the down low, Austin's basically promising everybody first position. And the next paragraph says, the problem for McBroom was that there could only be one first priority position. However, as long as each talent making the request did not know what the other talent was promised, McBroom could acquiesce to the multiple requests in position. So basically they're saying as long as nobody else found out, he could promise everybody first position, even though he knew that you could only have one first position. So yes, that I believe falls under fraud. The 1-month spending spree in order to lock up the talent with exorbitant contracts caused McBroom's business manager, Mark Goodman, to state to McBroom, "You are spending like a drunken sailor." McBroom and SGP attempted to land Live Nation to stream the event. Live Nation ultimately opted to forgo participating in the event. I wonder why. Kazers managed to land LiveX Live with less than 3 months before the event. Last minute? Austin McBroom doing something last minute? While I never. As LiveX Live's revenue was transaction-based, LiveX Live agreed to act as the live stream partner with the provision that SGP collaborate with LiveX Live on marketing strategies. And we heard, I'm not going to rehash all of it, but we heard all of that in the lawsuit between LiveX Live and Austin McBroom and the Ace family, where they said they told him that there was not enough promotion going on, and Austin basically didn't want to listen to any of the professional advice he was getting, which led to the dismal failure that was Social Gloves 1. And they say here, Austin McBroom refused to heed the recommendation of LiveX Live's marketing team. McBroom insisted it was sufficient to rely on the power of social media. Okay, so Mr. I've never put on one of these events before thinks he's a genius and he's going to just magically, it's going to virally happen. So that right there spelled disaster, in my opinion. McBroom was warned by 2 experts that Social Gloves promotional strategy would not drive ticket purchases, and we know that. McBroom pointed to all the impressions the event was generating. Well, as somebody who makes videos on YouTube, he should know that impressions don't equal conversion, and that's what they say here. Impressions don't equal conversions. I don't care if you have 1 million impressions. It's the number of people that actually watch that matters. And then it goes on. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. On or about April 12, 2021, Kazers left a message the McBrooms later acknowledged by Allen McBroom in a return text saying, "Hey, bro." What's with them and the bro? "Hey, bro, you left us a voicemail over the weekend on how concerned you are with us not communicating and that we were making deals with artists and promising all this money that we don't have and that we were pulling a Ponzi scheme." I'm not going to comment. Neither Allen McBroom or Austin McBroom responded substantively to Kazer's indictment. McBroom failed to listen to anyone and had another plan. The event did, in fact, proceed. Plaintiff and the remaining talent lived up to their end of the bargain. On June 12, 2021, Plaintiff and the other talent came to the event and fought their fights. When the event concluded, it was announced the PPV audience was 136,000. A far cry from the numbers McBroom had touted in his promotion. Yet the numbers were consistent with the projections of the professionals involved. So they had warned him, Austin, that this was what he was going to end up with based on their data. But Austin and Allen, of course, don't want to listen to anybody who has experience because they know what they're doing. And then they say, McBroom then activated the final 2 components of his plan. First, McBroom deflected and blamed LiveX Live, which we know. And he said, oh, it's all LiveX Live's fault and that they lied about the numbers and that they didn't do their job, which we know is nonsense. LiveX Live's accounting was audited by McBroom's consultant, FTI, and validated. So this is something I didn't know and that we hadn't heard before. So LiveX Live's accounting was validated by an independent audit. So they weren't lying. They weren't hiding money. They told Austin the truth, and he didn't want to believe it. And then after they verified it, he still continued to lie about it. So then later on, the legal team sent letters to the fighters who had fought in the Social Gloves that there was going to be an impending cram down or a bankruptcy, which I was waiting for, and it never happened because they ended up settling, although apparently not with everybody. On June 19, 2021, McBroom dropped a new video in which the Ace family touted the success of Social Gloves, but the T channels are the ones who say all these bad things about them. Catherine just says, don't believe the T channels, even though they're presenting the facts. Who are you going to believe, people? The facts or the McBrooms? And people who come at me and say, oh, leave them alone. It's like, why should I leave them alone? This is the crap they pull. Somebody's got to hold them accountable or they're going to continue to do it. And even when they're held accountable, they still continue to do it. At the end of the video, McBroom announced part 2 of the Battle of the Platforms boxing event, which I'm assuming ultimately became Social Gloves 2, which we just had this past fall, which was also a failure, in my opinion, and I think based on the evidence. Without paying the $1 million as required under the agreement, shockingly, defendants proceeded with Social Gloves 2 on September 10th. So they're saying, I guess he was expecting he would get paid, and I don't know, maybe Austin kept promising, yeah, we're going to pay you out of the money from Social Gloves 2 or whatever, the investors. And we know that the investor that they had tried to line up ultimately pulled out, and that was what my video was back at Thanksgiving. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link down below. It talks about the lawsuit from the investor against Austin McBroom and the Ace family. And it says, shockingly, defendants proceeded with Social Gloves 2 on September 10th. 2022 at the Bank of California Stadium, which we know. Again, Austin was given top billing, of course. Do you think he has an ego or he's a little bit of a narcissist? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. Which included Austin McBroom's brother Landon, and that the fighters, talent, and Social Gloves 2 were paid despite defendants not paying plaintiff $1 million. He is due for his participation in Social Gloves 1. But we know that they all got really small payouts. So, you know, it certainly was no Social Gloves 1. And they all fought for what I think is ridiculous sums, in my opinion. And so they talk about how, you know, Jarvis Khattri, FaZe Jarvis, has, you know, huge following of over 6.5 million YouTube subscribers, etc., etc. And that, you know, he had promised to promote this and he had basically done his job. And so now I'm just going to skip down because I'm not going to go through all of these counts because they're all pretty cookie cutter and they sort of reiterate a lot of the same stuff. But I just want to read to you the fraud count. So it says third cause of action, fraud. On or about March 4th, 2021, defendants and each of them misrepresented to plaintiff. The plaintiff would be paid for his services if he performed in the event, regardless of any revenue being collected. So he's saying they promised him payment even if they didn't make anything. I don't know how they were going to do that, but okay. And it says Social Gloves is obligated to make full payment to plaintiff within 15 days after LiveX Live provided notice of revenues. So after LiveX Live reported what the actual earnings were to Social Gloves. It says this representation was not true at the time. SGP was not sufficiently capitalized. So basically he's saying when they promised this, they didn't have the money to back it up. Okay. And then they talk about, you know, misrepresentation, intentionally concealing the priority positions and misrepresenting that Paul Kazers was the owner of Social Gloves when in reality, Austin McBroom was the owner. And concealing that Austin McBroom was the sole member of SGP. So in other words, there aren't any other directors or anything in Social Gloves. The company just has Austin. That's it. It's all him. Then it says misrepresentation that SGP would extensively market the event. We know that the marketing was terrible, that Austin had been warned by LiveX Live that the marketing was terrible and was not succeeding. And yet Austin continued to ignore advice, and they misrepresented that the Florida Athletic Commission sanctioned the event. So this is something new too. It says that the truth is the Florida Athletic Commission did not sanction the event. So that's obviously another lie. Civil conspiracy. This is the other thing I wanted to tell you about. It says from March through June 2021, defendants and other non-parties willfully and knowingly conspired and agreed among themselves to fraudulently induce plaintiff to participate in a boxing match. So based on the things that he's alleging, if they're true, I would say yes, that definitely was fraud. And it sounds like a conspiracy because they were hiding ownership of the company. They were lying and telling people that they all had first priority. So it sounds like a conspiracy to me. So he's seeking at least $1 million or an amount that will be proved at trial. So in other words, if he proves more damages than just the $1 million they owed him, that he's asking that that be paid to him. They're asking for punitive and exemplary damages, according to proof at trial, prejudgment interest, costs of the suit, and any such further relief as the court may deem just and proper, which is a standard phrase that we use in all civil lawsuits. So there you have it, people. We thought it was over, but the gift that keeps on giving, which is the McBroom family, here we go again. It's like never ending. Are they ever gonna not have an active lawsuit? I don't know. Not if they keep doing the crap that they're doing. So those of you who love the McBroom still, in spite of all of this fraud that's being alleged, You know, that's your right, but don't come at me for reporting the facts. But anyway, so that's the story. I want to thank Rich Lux for tipping me off to this. I appreciate it. He obviously didn't get the memo that I'm coming down to Houston next weekend to cancel him. So if you don't know about that drama, I posted a video yesterday. The link is down below. But I'm going down next weekend to Houston to cancel Rich Lux. So be on the lookout for the video about that drama. So I want to say a special shout out to Sevier, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you so much for sending us the Blue Buffalo case of pate cat food and the cat litter. I appreciate it, from the Amazon wish list. If you want me to thank you in a video, the wish list for the cats is down below. It's just stuff for the cats. It's not for me. And I want to thank all of our Patreon patrons as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. You don't know how much your support means to Sybil and I and all the cats. And I want to thank all of our channel members whose support also helps keep our kitty household running. And I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone that sends stuff from the Amazon wish list. I appreciate it all throughout this year. The stuff that you guys have sent, your generosity is amazing. And it really is touching. And thank you so much for being part of this family. I hope you guys are having a great holiday season. I hope you guys stay safe and spend time with people that you care about. We will be back with at least a couple more videos before the end of the year, I promise. And there's going to be drama down in Houston, so be on the lookout. But Sybil and I say thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.